Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Our next weather maker brings the potential for another round of wintry precipitation. I'll show you Futurecast hour by hour coming up.
The cost of clearing the roads. The WRAL Storm Tracker is taking a look at secondary roads as school systems decide whether to send students back to class.
And a breaking news story that we are following: impact statements on day one of Austin Thompson's sentencing phase. We're going to recap that emotional morning that we saw in court today.
We are following two big stories here for you today. Day one of the sentencing phase for Austin Thompson gets underway with heart-wrenching statements from family members. We'll get to that emotional day in court in just a moment. First, we have team coverage on how the state is handling back-to-back winter storms. Good afternoon. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Levinger. Thank you so much for joining us. A weaker weather maker is moving in on Wednesday, prompting a WRAL weather alert day. That's why we have that team coverage, and we'll begin with meteorologist Amy Wilmoth. Amy, when and where do you expect to see another light wintry mix develop?
It'll be the northern half of our viewing area tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. So today we don't really have anything going on. This is where the next weather maker is. It will continue diving to the south and east. It's one of those scenarios where the cold air is chasing the moisture out of our area. And typically with those types of weather situations, they're fairly minor impact situations for us. And that's what I'd expect for tomorrow. But areas north of I-40 could get slushy as some of this moves in tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. Some light snow and sleet accumulations are possible, mainly north of the triangle. So let's walk through this hour by hour. Again, today we should be fine. Around 11 o'clock tonight, maybe a little bit of energy moving into the northern part of our viewing area, a couple of spotty showers possible. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., temperatures are above freezing, which is good. We'll have a little bit of rain south of the triangle, and then that starts to lift to the north. So hit and miss showers will be possible through the afternoon. By the time we get to around the evening commute and points after, that's when the cold air starts to move in, and you can see the pinks and the blues showing up most of this north of the triangle. It'd be a little bit of sleet, a little bit of snow. Shouldn't be a huge deal for us, but temperatures Thursday morning will be in the mid to upper 20s. So whatever falls, we could see some slick roads by the time we get to Thursday morning. A look at how much sleet we could see. Notice how these totals are low, less than 1/10 of an inch, and snowfall accumulations are possible, but mainly in northern counties right along the North Carolina-Virginia state line. We'll take a look at some other impacts from this system and show you how long this cold is going to stick around coming up.
All right, Amy, sounds good. We'll get back to our winter weather coverage in just a moment. We want to talk about this morning that we heard from a woman who was shot in the 2022 mass shooting in Raleigh's Headingham neighborhood. It's part of the sentencing hearing for Austin Thompson. He pleaded guilty to killing 5 people in that shooting. The sentencing is running a little differently than we're used to. We want to bring in Luis Fernandez now to talk a little bit about the update that you've received in this case.
Yeah, Chris, despite Thompson's guilty plea, because of his age at the time of the shootings, he cannot automatically be sentenced to life without parole. So essentially, this is going to run like a typical trial, just without the jury. You're seeing now live video from inside of the courtroom. This morning, Thompson entered the courtroom to sit through testimony from witnesses of the day. That included Lynn Gardner, who was shot while walking her dog with her friend Nicole Connors. Thompson killed Connors and seriously wounded Gardner. Gardner says she still has a piece of shotgun pellet lodged in her chest. It's the first time we're hearing from Gardner about her experience.
I noticed that I'm no longer looking at Nicole's door. I'm looking up at the sky.
Okay.
And as I'm looking up at the sky, I'm talking to myself like I'm talking to you. Why am I looking up at the sky? So I'm surveying my surroundings. I'm looking left and right. And then I looked down at my body and saw that I'm lying in a pool of blood. So for me, immediately I went to prayer. Abba, Father, if it's your will and your way to take me home, I'm ready. But if it's not your will and your way to take me home, send me your strength and some help.
An incredibly emotional testimony. Gardner called on her faith to help her get through, saying she forgives Thompson mostly to help her move forward in life. Coming up at 12:30, we'll hear from Nicole Connor's husband, an unbelievably emotional testimony on the stand.
Certainly a lot more that we'll be watching for. Thank you, Lewis. You can get caught up with the case on WRAL's YouTube channel. You can also watch this week's sentencing hearing on WRAL.com. And be sure to like and subscribe to WRAL on YouTube.
Now to our team coverage of the state's handling of the back-to-back winter weather. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live in the storm tracker with a look at secondary roads. And Carly, I understand you're on Ridge Road. How's it looking?
Yes, so we've been driving around parts of Wake County this morning, so areas like I-40, Wade Avenue, and then Ridge Road, and all of those seemed really good, and until you turn onto some of those neighborhood streets and side streets off of Ridge Road. So that's where we are right now, Manuel Street. You can still see those slick spots. And what's interesting is you have some parts of the road that are just completely dry, looking great, and then parts like this where maybe there's a little bit more tree cover, so not as much sunshine that was helping to melt parts of the road. And then you have just ice and snow where those plows haven't really come through yet. And what makes this stretch particularly difficult is it's on a hill, right? So you might have some cars that might have more difficulty getting up, or maybe it's a little bit more slick coming down. And I was just speaking to Wake County Emergency Management, asking them, we're seeing a lot of roads and it's really just kind of dependent on where you are. So we were asking what still needs some work, and they said parts of the eastern parts of Wake County, such as Knightdale, that's where we're trying to go next, are still in need of some of those plows, but they're really depending on that sun to help with the ice melt today as well. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in the Storm Tracker.
And Wake County students are learning remotely today. It's the second week in a row of winter weather that has kept students home for school for multiple days in a row. And WRAL's Destiny Patterson is live at Athens Drive High School. Destiny, you're asking district leaders questions about the resources to respond in order to get kids back into the classrooms.
Chris, it's interesting. Over the past few days, I've been to multiple campuses, and each one looks very different in terms of conditions. I mean, you can see here at Athens Drive, the sun is doing a lot of the work, but there's still a lot of work to be done here. We've also seen crews hard at work over the past couple of days, but the district has more than 200 campuses to clear across the county. When making the announcement to learn remotely yesterday, for today, the district posted these photos showing snow and ice covered campuses. We've asked the district spokesperson how much is the district spending on snow and ice removal, and how many contractors has the district hired to remove snow and ice. We're still waiting to hear back, but we've heard from parents about how this is impacting the calendar.
That's the way it goes. There's nothing that they can control in terms of the weather, and I just think we take it one step at a time, and hopefully there won't be a lot of makeup days.
Speaking of those makeup days, most Wake County students will already have to make up a day on President's Day because of all that winter weather. The district has used 3 remote learning days for traditional calendar students and 4 remote learning days for others. By state law, they can only use 5. Now, I've also asked district leaders how they plan to go forward from here, especially if we do get any more winter weather in the coming days, weeks, or even the next couple of months or so. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, live in Wake County.
It's a good time to remind you to make sure you have the WRAL weather app. Download it to stay up to date on weather forecasts and conditions. But remember, turn on push notifications to get alerts.
This afternoon, lawmakers will host a public forum in Washington, D.C. on what's been described as the violent use of force by Department of Homeland Security agents. Among those expected to testify, the 2 brothers of Renee Good, a woman with autism and traumatic brain injury who says she was dragged from her car by immigration agents, and a former police officer and expert on law enforcement's use of force. No agents are expected to testify. This forum takes place at 2. President Trump is escalating the fight between Harvard University and the government. The president is seeking $1 billion in damages from the nation's oldest private education institution over its alleged failure to address campus anti-Semitism. Trump says that along with the damages, his administration no longer wants anything to do with the university. In March, the Trump administration froze more than $2 billion in federal grants and contracts. This fall, a federal judge ruled the administration's attempt to freeze that money was illegal.
Investigators in Arizona believe the 84-year-old mother of Today co-anchor Savannah Guthrie was taken from her home against her will. Nancy Guthrie was reported missing on Sunday after she did not attend a church service. Here's NBC's Liz Kreutz.
Well, hey there are still so many more questions than answers right now with this search for Nancy Guthrie now entering its third day. The sheriff's office says that they do believe Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home in the middle of the night against her will. They say it is fair to characterize this as a kidnapping or an abduction. They say that at the home, which they're now calling a crime scene, they found her cell phone that was left behind. Her car was also there. And they are asking anybody in the public for any kind of information, surveillance video that could help give them some kind of timeline or information about when this happened or any kind of suspect. In fact, they said a big challenge has been getting video because of the neighborhood landscaping. The homes are set back from the street. They're on these large lots. There's high, tall brush blocking many of the homes, all of that making it very hard to get ring camera footage that has a direct line of sight from the street. And the sheriff told us that while they have received many tips from the neighborhood, they do not have any solid lead at this time. The sheriff is calling this a race against time because of the fact that Nancy Guthrie has that medication she needs to take every 24 hours, or it could potentially be fatal. Overnight, Savannah Guthrie posted, she asked for prayers and said her family believes in the power of prayer, hoping that they can bring her home. Back to you.
And prayers have been said. We're expecting to get an update on the search for Nancy Guthrie from the Pima County Sheriff's Office at 1:30, and we will stream that live on WRAL.com and WRAL News Plus.
NASA is now targeting March for the earliest possible launch of its historic Artemis II lunar moon mission. Engineers made the decision early this morning after a crucial test revealed several problems. The delay would allow teams to review data and conduct a second launch rehearsal. Once cleared to fly, Artemis II will send 4 astronauts, including NC State graduate Christina Cook, on a 10-day journey beyond the far side of the moon. The mission could set a new record for the farthest distance humans have ever traveled from Earth.
Well, happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, we're keeping our eyes on D.C. right now as the House is voting on a massive funding package to end the partial government shutdown. Right now, you can see the tallies of where things stand between Republicans and Democrats at this moment. This is not a final tally, of course. Right now, 2 Republicans so far have actually voted against moving ahead with this funding package. The vote on the rule governing debate here on this final hurdle that Republicans have to take, it's all covering different things of a 5-year spending bill, which includes the Department of Homeland Security, where we know there's been a lot of controversy around funding and giving more funding to ICE without reform. So, of course, we're going to continue to follow the latest of what's happening in D.C. That final vote for passage is set for 1 p.m.
All right, thank you for that, Laura. Your time is 12:11. Next at noon, children in danger. We're going to show you more of the moment a driver is accused of trying to run down kids at a park.
Waving red, white, and blue, we'll introduce you to the 2 people serving as the flag bearers for the U.S. in the Olympics.
And statewide winter preparations. What we've learned from Governor Josh Stein about whether our state is prepared if another winter storm hits.
Coming up next, see storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
The man charged with killing Charlie Kirk returns to court today in Utah. The hearing is over whether the prosecutor's office should be removed from the case. Defense lawyers for Tyler Robinson claim there is a conflict of interest, and that's because the prosecutor's 18-year-old child was in the crowd when Kirk was shot. The county attorney's office denies a conflict of interest. It says the adult child did not see the shooting or anyone with a gun.
All right, we do want to show you a video that captured the moment a driver tried to hit a group of children at a park. And this happened Sunday in Pueblo, Colorado. The video shows children playing, and then a shouting match happens right here on your screen. The video appears to show the driver yelling at the children and then children yelling back. And you see right here, the car drove off the road and then sped toward those children.
I hope they do catch this persons, whatever. I hope they do, because these kids don't deserve to come over here, and now they can't come because they're scared. That's crazy.
And officers say while they were investigating, a car crashed about 10 minutes away from that park. The car was reportedly stolen, and 3 teenagers inside the car are being treated for injuries, but no word on any charges.
Today marks 156 years since the ratification of the 15th Amendment. It banned U.S. states from preventing black men from voting. It was a major milestone in reconstruction after the Civil War. For decades, they faced barriers at the polls, such as literacy tests, poll taxes, and intimidation tactics. The voter registration deadline for next month's primary elections is this Friday. Voters will decide which candidates represent the Democratic and Republican parties in November races. Candidates are vying for seats in the U.S. Senate, the U.S. House, the state legislature, and more. Early voting runs from February 12th through the 28th. Mail-in voting is already happening, and primary day is March 3rd.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, we have a positive update on American skier Lindsey Vonn here, who crashed 4 days ago, saying that her Olympic dream is not over. This is a look at her at a press conference earlier today where she shared the damage to her left knee was a completed ruptured ACL, bone bruising, plus meniscal damage. So after 3 days of physical therapy and doctor's advice, she did ski today, and she did not appear to be limping as she entered and exited this news conference. So she says, my knee is swollen, and with the help of a knee brace, I am confident that I can compete on Sunday.
Optimism after we saw that image of her, holding her knee. Goodness. And we're actually just days away from the opening ceremony for the 2026 Winter Games. The Today Show announced the flag bearers for the U.S. gold medalists, Aaron Jackson, and Olympic bobsledder and U.S. Army Sergeant Frank Del Duca.
Aaron, I'll start with you. I mean, this is your third Olympics. You've been here to Studio 1A so many times. We've come to know you over the years. What I love about this is an honor that's given to you by your teammates. Fellow Olympians selected you. How much does that mean to you, Aaron?
Oh, it means so much. I ran into one of my teammates in the cafeteria yesterday, and he was like, I've been voting for you like crazy. And it means so much. It's a really big honor.
And Frank, you're a proud Italian American. I was just learning your grandparents left Italy dreaming of America. And then this weekend, you returned to their homeland carrying the American flag. How do you feel about that?
Yes, it's something special, and similar to what Aaron said, just having the support of our teammates and then Team USA as a whole, it's the utmost honor, and I'm very excited and honored.
Frank, I know that Stars and Stripes means a lot to you, especially being a sergeant in the Army. Just thinking about you there representing the United States. You do it, of course, in service, which we're appreciative of. You'll do it soon on the world stage. What is the magnitude of both of those things?
Well, it's sort of wearing two uniforms, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and it's just something that sort of complements each other. I've learned a lot through serving in the U.S. Army, and I think it's made me a better bobsledder, father, husband, teammate, and just ultimately I'm very grateful for all of this.
And U.S. Olympic officials changed the name of an athlete. SiriusXM agreed to pay $28 million to resolve claims tied to accusations of illegal robocalls. The lawsuit filed in 2022 claims the company repeatedly called people who requested to not be contacted. The same was alleged to have happened to people on the National Do Not Call Registry. Customers who meet the criteria may receive a cash payment. Claims must be submitted by March 21st. To see if you qualify, you can visit the File on Your Side section of WRAL.com. Well, it looks like the family minivan is
shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Well, a weaker weather maker is moving in tomorrow, prompting a WRAL weather alert day.
Meteorologist Amy Wilmus shows you when and where a light wintry mix develops and what sort of impact that could have. Amy.
I think overall we're talking about minor impacts, but I still think we'll have impacts from the triangle and points to the north tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. The weather maker is still well to the west of us right now. Today, it's a fairly quiet day. Temperatures are warming up a little bit. We'll take a look at those numbers in a moment. But a brief mix of sleet and snow possible starting tomorrow evening, continuing into tomorrow night. Less than an inch of accumulation possible, mainly near or north of I-40. Higher accumulations perhaps as you get closer to the Virginia state line. So in the areas shaded in pink, a trace to an inch possible of accumulating sleet and snow. Down to the south in the area shaded in green that matches my shirt, it's mainly just a cold rain for your area. Overall, again, I think the impacts will be fairly minor, but I don't think that it's a zero impact event. So as we head into tonight, we could see a couple of showers in our northern counties. Tomorrow morning, a few showers possible. And then tomorrow evening is when we have that chance for a wintry mix and maybe a little bit of snow from the triangle and points to the north. I do think we could see some accumulations, and with temperatures down into the 20s Wednesday night, we could have some slick roads Thursday morning. In the meantime, melting is happening. Temperatures are in the mid 40s right now in the triangle, which is some good news. We're starting to see some of that snow disappear. I'll walk you through Futurecast with temperatures for Wednesday night and Thursday coming up.
Amy, thank you. The sentencing hearing has started for Austin Thompson. He's the teen who pleaded guilty to killing 5 people in the 2022 mass shooting in the Hedingham neighborhood. The sentencing is running a little differently than we're used to. Today, we are hearing from witnesses from that day 3 years ago. WRAL's Luis Fernandez joins us now with an update. And Luis, people taking the stand and what they're saying, extremely emotional of what they remember.
Absolutely, Renee. And we've heard from some witnesses. We also have some breaking news into the newsroom here from the courtroom. We are going to be hearing from Jasmine Torres. That is the wife of the police officer that was killed, Gabe Torres. Let's go ahead and take a listen to her now.
Usually I wouldn't have gotten to see him. Our work schedules overlapped, and so when he was getting home, I had already left. But that day was different. The only way I can see it is divine intervention of God. But I was running late for work and trying to get the baby ready to take her to the babysitter, trying to get myself ready, and I just remember texting him, telling him I am so late, and as I'm getting ready to leave the door, he's pulling up, and again, I'm late. I shouldn't have seen him. He should have been home, and I should have been gone, and he worked the overnight shift, and he was a really great husband. So he decided that he would let me not be late and take Layla for me to the babysitter. And granted, he wanted to get home and sleep. But we had really good teamwork, and he took one for the team that day and sent me off to work. So my daughter rode in his car that morning.
And we saw some photographs. There was a car seat in the back there.
Yes.
Is that where she would ride?
Yes.
And there was a stuffed animal there. Was that her stuffed animal?
Yes. Gabe called her Monkey. That was his nickname for her. And so any monkey stuffed animals we'd find, we have a collection of monkeys in our home. That was just his little pet name for her.
So Gabe got to take Layla to daycare, and you were able to go to work and hopefully not be as late as you were going to be.
Yes.
Did you stay at daycare, or did you stay at work the whole day there?
I did not. At some point in...
We got an idea of the layout of this sentencing as well. Judge Paul Ridgway expects prosecutors will present their case against Thompson every day this week. And then next week, starting Tuesday, Thompson's attorneys will do the same. With next Friday expected to be the date Ridgway must decide on whether Thompson will get the opportunity for parole. Just some really emotional, gut-wrenching things to hear there.
I mean, certainly so. You heard her there, trying to keep it together as much as she could, trying to recall that day. She mentioned a little bit about saying she was going to be late to work. That's really what she was thinking about in that moment, and not knowing that that'd be the last day that she would hear from her husband.
Well, and their lives forever changed, and I will always remember that image of Officer Torres, his wife, and their beautiful toddler girl in a red dress. She could have been more than a year or 2 years old, and now she's growing up without her father because of this shooter.
It's so tough to hear. And we'll, of course, continue to follow that case, the sentencing portion of that, and you can do that on WRAL.com.
We'll have more winter weather coverage coming up after this as we take a live look at Pinehurst. You can see the snow still clinging, being stubborn and not quite melting here in the sun. And we'll let you know about the wintry mix that we could see tomorrow. A common treatment for menopause symptoms is getting harder to find. Estrogen patches provide hormone replacement therapy. Manufacturing issues, brand discontinuations, and rising demand are causing shortages of them. The FDA also removed a warning label on the product last fall, leading to an increase in prescriptions. Some women are paying hundreds of dollars a month to switch to brands their insurance will not cover. A warning for pregnant and postpartum women. A recent study reveals stroke warning signs were missed by healthcare professionals. Stroke remains a major health risk for pregnant women, even after delivery. 1 in 12 deaths for pregnant and postpartum moms are caused by strokes. Researchers found about 27% of women had gone to a doctor for stroke-related symptoms about a month before their stroke, but did not get a diagnosis.
So if you find yourself constantly considering worst-case scenarios, it could be time to retrain your brain. A psychologist with the Cleveland Clinic says being an optimist doesn't mean you never consider the negative of a situation. It's more so you can move past it. Dr. Susan Albers also says being an optimist can be challenging for some people because our bodies are wired to check for potential threats.
You can train your brain to be more optimistic by taking a mindful pause throughout the day and recognizing when something positive happens. This helps your brain in the future to recognize and identify when positive things happen and encode it into your memory.
Now, if you or someone you know struggles trying to overcome negative thoughts, you can find a mental health professional to help. You can also dial 988 to reach the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and you can also find county-by-county mental health support resources. You can do that on WRAL.com/gethelp.
Winter weather spending and slick secondary roads. After back-to-back winter storms, state leaders are discussing how those storms are impacting the budget. A live report is straight ahead. You're looking live at secondary streets in Knightdale, and you can see with the warmer afternoon temperatures, we have moisture on the pavement, but what we're concerned about is more refreezing when the temperature dips below freezing in the overnight hours. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. The state's top politicians all met this morning. On the agenda, a recap of the snow and ice that blanketed North Carolina. But it is possible we could see snow again in the next month or so. So is the state prepared to respond a third time? WRAL state government reporter Will Doran pressed Governor Josh Stein on this very question this morning. Will, what did you learn?
Well, Renee, the state has already spent millions of dollars on the last couple of weeks of storm response. State employees are exhausted after 2 straight weekends working overtime. This morning, Governor Josh Stein praised them for working 90 to 100-hour shifts, he said. Some slept in their offices to make sure that the government stayed functioning. Others were out on the roads responding to wrecks or spreading literally tons of salt. In fact, we learned this morning the state put out 50,000 tons of salt 2 weekends ago, then another 50,000 tons of salt last weekend, and they're hoping to get yet another 20,000 more tons of salt down today and tomorrow ahead of the possible snow we've been telling people about again that could happen Wednesday night. But the massive amount of salt they've used is now raising real questions. Is the state prepared in case we get hit by yet another big snowstorm? I posed that question directly to the governor this morning, and here's what he told me.
But we need more. We think that at the end of the next couple of days, we'll have about 50,000 tons of salt, which is enough for a major storm. But we had enough for 3 major storms before we started spending out of our salt bank. And so we need to replenish it.
Now, Stein added that even in the middle of last week, the state was buying $5 million worth of more salt, but there's a problem. Here in North Carolina, we're not the only ones in this position. Many states have been hit with these same big snowstorms in the last couple of weeks. So it sounds like, yes, we're ready to handle one more big storm, but if there's even more snow than that, we could find ourselves fighting with other states for the supplies we need. Renee?
I hope it doesn't come to that, but we will see. Will Doran, thank you so much. Make sure you have the WRAL weather app downloaded to stay up to date on weather forecasts and conditions. Remember, turn on push notifications to get alerts.
And Amy, I tell you what, I had enough salt to deal with the ice and snow the last couple weekends at my house, but then I tried going to Home Depot again and you couldn't find anything. But this next still see a little snow left over there at the DBAP, though, but with these temperatures where we are this afternoon, maybe some of that will melt away. Hey, as we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today. Happening right now, a sentencing hearing for Austin Thompson. He admitted to murdering 5 people in Raleigh in 2022. That includes his brother, 3 neighbors, and a Raleigh police officer. Before the sentencing, the judge heard the evidence the prosecution will present at that hearing, including a note allegedly written by Thompson. We'll bring you, of course, more updates on this in our evening newscast.
New today, Governor Josh Stein says there have been 3 winter weather-related deaths because of this past weekend storm. The people lived in Gaston, Cabarrus, and Robeson counties. Gaston and Cabarrus County are near the Charlotte area. The system brought heavy snowfall and freezing temperatures to all parts of our state.
And people in Johnson County are being asked to avoid using water for non-essential uses today. Sky 5 video from that plant shows snow and ice covering the water there at this water treatment plant. The county declared a temporary water shortage after the extreme cold caused disruptions at that water treatment plant.
Expect to pay more for the chance to toss a coin into Rome's famed Trevi Fountain. Tourists who want to get close to the fountain must now pay a $2.35 fee. Or you can admire the fountain from the piazza above for free. The surcharge is meant to protect the 18th century fountain by reducing the coin tossing crowds.
Y'all want to work in a steel mill like me for the rest of your days?
No, sir.
Yeah, because I sure as hell don't. Y'all willing to fight for it?
Yes, sir.
I need to hear you a little louder. Y'all willing to fight for it?
Yes, sir.
The official trailer is out for Michael. 2-time Oscar nominee Coleman Domingo plays Joe Jackson. Jafar Jackson, Michael's nephew, stars in the title role. The film traces the life and career of the King of Pop. It arrives in theaters April 24th.
I'm sure a lot of people will be watching that. All right, your next ride. Coming up this afternoon at 4 o'clock, we are taking a look at Consumer Reports' 10 top picks in new cars. 5 of your side shares who made it to the top of that list. And NBC News Daily is next on WRAL with your next local news update in about 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.